this is the little willow, and today we're going to be making these fun, you can make them into magnets, pins, necklaces, whatever you like to make them into. They're a lot of fun, and this has been resined. Probably some of them might need to be done again, but that's what they look like. They have different backs on them. So what we're going to need is your blades, tissue blade, your long blade, a rolling pin, a flat disc, or a steel soap to do burnishing or whatever you want to do. You're going to need some of these little pieces. You don't have to have these. You can actually just cut out a piece of clay. So if you don't have these little metal mousse, it's okay. You can just kind of cut out a piece of clay or whatever you want, or cut your pattern, a piece of pattern out or something, and do it like that. We're just going to use these mousse because I have these mousse. I'm not sure what to do with them, so we're going to use them. And the first thing is you're going to need to put some backing clay, and that's pretty much what you're going to need to do. Is your backing clay is on a size 2, and we're going to put that aside. Now you can do these however you want. I have all kinds of scraps, and I did some scrapscaping, and I think there's all kinds of different ways to do scrapscaping, and there's also scaping with flowers. Okay, this is the scrapscaping type, and this one you can find a tutorial on it. I think her name is Sina Bentoncourt. I'm not sure, but she does these type of scrapscapes. You can scrapscape using just your regular scraps, roll them out, marble them, and then put them into different, cut them and arrange them how you want. But we already have these cut out, and once you get these cut out, you'll need your cutter, of course, a cutter, and I used this one because I wanted it to fit the mousse. So the mousse needed to fit inside of it. And then another thing I did was I painted some of these mousse. Let's see if I can find some. I painted them black, and you can paint them if you want, or you don't have to, but I did paint them black, and I used this nail polish Extreme Wear because it just seemed like a decent one to use for wear and tear, although when we put the resin over it, it will cover it, so it probably doesn't make any difference. So, and then you'll need some glue. I have some glue here somewhere. Oh, here it is. This is E6000, but you can use any glue you want. I don't use very much of it. It's just to actually put the mousse onto there, and we don't do that until after the second part. So the first part is basically cutting out your pieces, baking them for 30 minutes on a tile. Okay, and that's what we done here. We have these all pre-baked, and then when you're done with that, you will take your clay, your backing clay that I just stuck up there, and you will punch these out with your backing clay. And I will punch out a bunch of them because I have a lot more of these. And so we'll go ahead, and these also, before you start putting your backing clay on these, you will need to sand them. And you can sand them with whatever sandpaper you want. But you do need to get some of the goobers off of there and the sharp edge. So I just take a sandpaper. I think this one is a 240 grit, but you can use a softer one if you like. I just try to get, some of the edges off that are sharp, because it will cut into your clay. So, and you do have to be careful. These are thin. So these scrapscapes, I would say if you were going to compare them on your Atlas machine or your pasta machine. I would say this would be probably a 5 or a 6 as far as thinness goes. So keep that in mind. Not all of them have to be this thin either. So, but that's why we're just going to stick to a size 2. And you do want to get some of the sharp edges off of there. It doesn't have to be a major deal because you're going to cover this, but you want to make sure the sharp edges don't cut into the clay and create a lot more problems. And then you can wipe it off. I use some isopropyl alcohol and a wet wipe. It's important to have some of these on hand, or some kind of a towel that you can use that you trust that's not going to get, fibers all over all the time. Okay, is this one also needing a little TLC? It's preferably to do this over a garbage can, guys, but I'm just showing you just for a sample. You just want to get some of the rough, sharp stuff away. I think that's good. And you will have to be delicate with it if it's thinner like this. This one's a little bit thinner. Okay, so I'm just going to cut a bunch of these out because we have a bunch of these that we're going to do. And I have all kinds of colors. These were the older ones. Let's see. And then this is what they look like after they've been baked. So after they get baked, and I'll show you what we do here. I go ahead and I glue the mousse on, but I'll show you really quick. So these ones that I punched out, I baked for 30 minutes. And then after we put the backing on them, we're going to be baking them for another 30 minutes. I'm just going to cut out a bunch of these. That's all I'm going to get. There we go. We'll put that aside and we'll add more clay to it later and more conditioner. It's important to condition your clay before rolling it out. Put it right there. Now I'm going to flip these over. Oops, we don't know how that got in there. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and you're also going to need some liquid clay. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to tell you about what you need, huh? So we're going to need some liquid clay. I do like to use also these blending tools sometimes, but they're not necessary on this one. So I have some regular liquid clay and then I have some liquid adhesive, and I'm just going to go ahead and use the liquid adhesive, but you can just use regular clay. And you're just going to put it on each one. Now after they bake, there will be a shiny finish from the tile, and that's the side that you're going to want to put your stuff on. I mean, you don't have to, but that's the side I put them on. And I'm just adding a small dab of this liquid clay. So what do we have? 6. I guess I need one more. One more. Just grab a random one. Okay, this is a great way to utilize your scraps. I'm turning these into pins and magnets, but you can also turn them into necklaces, and I might do a couple necklaces. Okay, so then you're going to take your piece and you turned it upside down, or the other side, and you're going to gently pull it away. You're going to push it on there, make sure there's no air bubbles first. Then you're going to gently pull it around the piece. And you're going to go ahead and gently curl it around the lip of your piece. You're just making a border for these. Okay. I'll do a couple like that. And you're just going to make sure that this is sticky tacky and not so it slides around too much. You want it to be a little bit more on the tacky side. You're going to put it on there. You're going to pull it away from the edges because you want to create a lip all the way around it. Because you're just creating a border and you're giving this piece a little bit more thickness, another layer, so it doesn't break as easy. And then once you have the UV resin on there, it will be very stiff and it will hold up a lot better. It won't break as well. It won't break. Okay. Oops. Okay, so we're going to do this one last one, and then I'm going to show you how to stamp it. Show you what I do next, and then I will put it in the oven and bake it, and then when we're done, I will show you what I do next. Let's see. We're almost done here. Yes, I'm sorry I haven't been with people for a while, or I haven't done any videos. I just do these videos not just, you know, for a tutorial or anything, but also for people to see, because people wanted to see exactly what I do in my shop every year. And I can't take tutorials of every little thing I do, but I thought I'd give them something. Something is better than nothing, I guess. Okay. Just do these very quickly. I try to get as many as I can done before I bake them, because I'd like to be able to put a full section into my oven. Sorry guys. Okay, if your fingers are too whatever, then this is a great time to spray some isopropyl alcohol on your wet wipe. Wipe your fingers. Now if you have these little, I just use my clay to get all the extra goobers off. There we go, because that's all it is clay anyway. Okay, and we're just repeatedly wrapping these all the way around, and you're just basically stretching the clay a little bit. Now you want to be careful so they don't crack around the edges. So if your clay isn't conditioned enough, it will crack around the edges, and you will need to stop, condition your clay, and then start again. And that's why it's important to kind of stretch your clay out too, to stretch it over the lip just before you start stretching it over the lip. Stretch it out just a little bit so you can stretch it over the lip with confidence. Okay. Make sure there's no air bubbles in there. Push out. Push out. Last one. Okay, and now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use these stamps. You can either make your own stamps here, or you can buy some. This one I bought, or you can make your own texture tiles. You know, this one's more rubber. And you can do, I used scrap clay, or clay that I did not care for. I ended up with some Sculpey 3. It is very brittle. It's not a good clay to work with. See how brittle that is? That's just not a good clay to work with as far as making jewelry or anything else. So I did some texture tiles with it. But you can also, there is molding clay. And this is a molding clay I did a texture with, and you can buy a molding clay to do some textures. You could also use a texture roller. Where is that texture roller? What happened to it? Well, you can use a texture roller. Not sure where it went. Maybe it fell back here. Sorry guys. Oh, here it is. Okay. Texture rollers are also nice, but if they are not very expensive, we'll just say it like that, you're going to end up with anomalies. And here's a great example of an anomaly right here. So instead of doing this, it's doing that. Okay, and it happens on both sides. Where is it? Right here too. So there's one and there's two. And so this is only part on both sides. So if you don't like that, you can also use little stamps. That's a dirty one. This one's better. You can use little stamps and stamp the back. Here we'll do one with a stamp. And I always like to try to wet my stuff down before I use it. And I will just basically wet it down a little bit. And you can do little stamps. You just rotate your stamper. Kind of put little stamps on the back. So there you go. So it's all pretty. And then you want to go back around it with your fingers to make sure the border is staying around. And then you're going to go ahead and put it on your baking tray. Oops. Now I have a tile, so you can bake it on a tile, or you can bake it on a just your regular baking tray. I'm going to put this on my regular baking tray, and I'm going to put it face down. So it did already go through one cook process. with these, and then we're going to bake these on as well. So we're just going to go ahead and texture these, and these texture tiles are fun. All you have to do is just stamp some old clay with stamps, and you can create your own texture tiles. Here's one. I just used my blade and some of my cutters, and created a texture tile with that. Let's see how that works. Whoops. Let's try that. Now, like before, I like to, oh, everything is sticking to everything. Oh well. I have a very small space. I can't help it. Okay, so I'm just going to put it right on there. And I'm going to take my little tile here and I'm going to press it down. Now, don't press it down too hard. You want to press it down firmly, barely until this starts to separate, but then you're going to have to push it back together again after it does. So you're going to make sure that you do the corners, and once in the middle, and it should do that. Now you can see there's a little bit of separation, so you're going to have to push that back around, and then I like to put it flat and put it on my baking sheet. And that's what we're going to be doing today, just doing textures on these. Let's see, we'll do one like this. I'll do a butterfly one. We'll do an ocean one. Here's another ocean one that I did. Let's see, here is one with, here's one with a stamp too as well. So I did two different kinds of stamps. And you don't even have to make a tile with your stamps. I was just experimenting for that day. So let's see what we got here. Let's do this butterfly one. I just basically wet it down. And I will angle it like that. Take my tile. Okay. And there you go. There is a texture on the back. Now you don't have to put texture on the back. You can just bake them as is, just like this. And because nobody's going to really see the back that much, but some people like to look at the back for some reason. I have no idea why. Here's one. We'll just do this with it. And put this down before I do anything. And somehow, sometimes this gets dirty beyond dirty. I don't know. Do it right there. Okay, and there you go. I didn't do a great texture on that one. That's okay. And you're just going to press that together. I lay it face down. Let's try this one. We'll do this one on that. I'll put it like that. I like to give mine a wet so it comes off easier. You'll have to excuse my finger. I did cut it quite badly, so. Okay, there's a texture. Now this texture actually came off of one of my shoes, and I just thought it was so much fun that I was like, oh, you know, I can do a texture tile with that. You can get texture from almost anything, so. And we'll do a bee. Put the bee bee. Let's put the bee on this one. Okay, and I will try to get as many on there as I can. Now the reason I lay these flat is because, like I said, they're delicate because they were made with cheap clay. But if you have decent clay, and there we go, there's another texture. And we're just going to go ahead and go all the way around and make sure that border is still intact on there. And now I think I will do one with this. This is one that I bought. And same thing, I just wipe it down. I don't know where I want to put this. I'm just going to wipe it down all the way across, and we'll see. And maybe I will put it like that. Okay, so now you can see it's separating a little bit away from the edge, and then it's probably done. And there you have it. There is a texture, but you're going to need to go around it again to push that edge back to where it was. Okay, and then turn it upside down, put it on your baking sheet. Now this one I'll show you what I do with the stamp. I did show you a stamp, but I'll just use a stamp to, let's see, what kind of stamp do we want to use? Yeah, so I can use a snowflake stamp even, and I have all kinds of different snowflake stamps, and let's see what else we have. Here's one, here's one. Here's another one. We'll try this one. We'll try this one. And you can do different colors or whatever you want. Well, what that is. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp it there. Stamp it there. Stamp it there. You know, do the little sides a little bit. And there we go. Some more texture. Just make sure your sides are all the way around, stuck to it. Turn it upside down. And then when you're done baking that, we'll show you how I just glue on the mousse. Okay, so they're done baking, guys, and they're just the plain blanks. And so now we have all these. If they stick together a little bit, that's okay. It's not gonna hurt it. And get these all off. Okay, so now what we're going to do is put the little, now I'm probably going to just do 3 so you can see, because I do have to paint some more mousse. And you're basically just going to paint them with some of your nail polish. And you can do it on a piece of wax paper if you like. And what you do is you just mix up your nail polish. I don't think this has a ball in it. I think this is different. And then you're just gonna paint your mousse with your nail polish. And you'll let it sit overnight, or I do, or until it's dry. Okay, and that's all you're going to do, and then you're going to let that sit overnight. And I just do one side. I don't do both sides. I just do the one side because that's all we need. And then you're going to take your glue, whatever glue you choose. Try to make sure you find a glue that will actually adhere to metal and clay. It doesn't have to be this glue. This glue is actually pretty toxic, but I'm just using it to tack it down. So you could probably use any glue you wanted. We're just needing to tack it down. And oh. Okay, I might need some pliers to get it back off. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, pliers seem to work. Okay, and you might have a goober on the end. It might have just, sometimes some glues will dry. Like you can see how hard this is. But we will pull all that excess away. See if we can get the good stuff underneath. Or this is pretty toxic actually. So if you find a different glue that's better than this. There we go. Okay, so all I'm doing is that's too much. Oops, I'm just going to toss that. So all I'm doing really is I'm just going to dab a little on the back. I don't need to do the legs and all of that. I'm just dabbing it mainly on the body area because we're just trying to tack it down. And the UV resin is going to go right over it. So then the hard part, right? You put your piece where you want to see it, press it down, let it dry overnight. And then when you're done doing that, you will end up with these. Okay, these are all dried and ready to resin. And then when you're done with that, you can resin them. And then when you're and they turn out like that after resin. So you could actually make, you know, necklaces out of these. I'm using them for pins and magnets. Maybe I'll do a couple necklaces, who knows. Now some of them I didn't paint with the black paint. I like the black paint better, but you know, some people will like that more rustic look. And so after that's done, then you can either put a pin back on it. I will do one as a magnet and one as a pin. How about that? And I use a bigger magnet. You can put whatever pin back you want on there. Sorry folks. So you can put whatever pin back you want on there. I use these bigger magnets because they are heavier duty. So I have these different pin backs. I have a push pin back. I think they're lightweight enough for it, but I like to use this for a smaller item just in case. And then these are the different options that you have. If you have a longer one, you'll have to go at an angle, and I'm not going to be using the long ones because these are pretty flat straight like that. So now since we have a print on the back, we do have to make sure that the glue adheres to the, I'm going to put glue down first before I put this pin back on, but so it adheres correctly. And then I just lightly press it down, and we will let that dry overnight. Now this one I will add just just a drop in the middle. And this should spread out pretty well. Like that. We're just gonna put that down. Now, if you do a whole bunch of magnets, I would not put them close to each other, because what happens is the magnets tend to pull themselves together. So I would definitely keep that in mind. And if you're going to do them, you're going to do them, I would do them like separate them like that far from each other so they will dry correctly. Or else you're going to have a mess. You know, and I wouldn't do that either, because this will pull, the magnet will pull anything magnetic next to it. So that's important to realize, to know that. We will put these over there to dry. And that's pretty much it, guys. When they're done, they are really pretty, really fun. And that's what I'm doing for my shop this year. So hopefully you will give me a thumbs up and come visit my shop. It's the last year I'm going to be there, and I'm hoping to see everybody there. I will probably still continue to do some kind of tutorial. Doesn't mean I will never have a shop again. I will probably have a shop, but maybe I will have my own building. Okay, and we will see you later. Have a nice day. Bye.